The Russian Federation, also known by his human name of Ivan Briginsky, typically described as cute, creepy, terrifying, and a psychopath. But is he really that insane serial killer / rapist, or more of an innocent child as the fandom makes him out to be? Maybe he's just a deeply depressed young man with a dwindling sense of hope and deep-seated self-loathing. Hello, I'm Cheesy, here to present an analysis on behalf of Hetalia. With this character analysis, we'll uncover the true depth of this Russian's depravity, addressing common errors in his characterization by the fandom, as well as her interpretations of his actions and Himaruya's own notes on the matter. First off, I'm going to address the inconsistencies of the fandom's portrayal compared to Himaruya's characterization of the character. There are many ways to interpret a character, but it's best not to go too far with one particular trait of theirs as if it was their only one, because soon you get close to completely flanderizing them. In Russia's case, the chosen traits the fandom likes to exaggerate are either his violent tendencies or his innocent facade. The problem with this is that despite not being the best of characters morally, he is neither entirely guiltless, nor is he the complete and utter monster every day of his unnatural life that some see him as. He has flaws, just like everyone else. But the difference between him and, let's say, Germany, is that Russia goes about them in the wrong way. He can and will use pain as the primary motivator to not go against his wishes, whereas Germany uses verbal disciplinary action and physical exercise to break down your resolve and keep you on your toes in his presence. I'm comparing these two because they both have carried out what most would consider unforgivable actions during the Second World War. Both are fundamentally opposites, but which one of them doesn't get much of a bad rep anymore? That's right, Germany doesn't, and you know why. It's clear with his intentions and almost always serious, so that you know he isn't joking with his statements. Russia, however, is the exact opposite. You never know what he's thinking, or if he could be joking about his threats to your physical well-being or not. Unless you're good at reading him or he clarifies his intentions. You don't know what to say to him at that point because you don't want to aggravate him and incur his wrath. So you're stuck with either treading lightly or avoiding him out of fear. This gives him the impression that he knows exactly what he's doing is frightening, but at the same time, this was how he learned to receive attention from others, whether positive or negative, because otherwise, they would not care to listen and deliberately hurt him and his nation. I am not saying that this excuses any of his questionable behavior toward others. I'm just bringing this up as the basis for his episodes of violence and why he chooses to instill fear in his peers compared to using safer, alternative methods of mutual understanding. The way I see it is he has no other way of conveying his feelings, except through physical pain or nonverbal means. The physical being the chasing, beatings, and intimidation he uses freely to get his point across, while nonverbal relies on his variety of saccharine, sweet smiles of warning, delight, restrained anger, and, in more severe cases, incoming bursts of insanity. We've been given brief glimpses into what his insanity can do, such as in the While You Are Gone comic strip, where Poland happens to see scars on Lithuania's back as he takes a bath, or when he's talking about beating faces after a meeting, where France talks to him about his normally lonely existence. It is not shown what the extent of his insanity can accomplish to us viewers. But as everyone's reactions of fear and terror can tell you, it is not something you want to get yourself caught up in. And so, to those people who can somehow ignore how blatantly obvious it is that he torments people, why are you ignoring this crucial aspect of him? Do you think that just because he's cute, that he deserves to get away with his crimes? Or is it because you hold sympathy for someone whose motives cannot be fully understood? As we know from Himaruya himself, in response to a fan's question, circa 2007, Russia is unaware of his own cruelty and only sees what he does from his own twisted point of view. Either way, there is no justification for abusing so-called friends, like Taurus, as Ivan has in the past. Because of this, I have a firm belief that he has no idea how to make friends, so he forces himself into their lives by any means necessary to get them to notice him and eventually consider him as a friend. He doesn't know how to make friends in a more natural process, and he's not very good with rejection on account of long existing trust issues, in turn making him stick to what he knows to have worked before. In his character song, "Having Friends is Nice," he states, "I made some friends. I made so many. Lithuania, Estonia and Latvia are my very good friends. Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia." That, in my opinion, tells you he has become delusional over the period of his lifetime with the image of adopting multiple friends that he truly doesn't have. You could argue that now that the Soviet Union no longer exists, it is possible for him to reconcile with the Baltics and form a more healthy relationship. However, I feel as if he hasn't fully let go of that mentality that they are his friends, that they rightly belong to him. And so even with the group being separated for 25 years, he hasn't accepted it for almost 3 decades now. This, in turn, makes Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia extra cautious about him and more likely to avoid him in the process, leaving him literally friendless, with the exception of America and maybe China. Finally, onto what most would consider a minor nitpick, his hatred of cold temperatures is written off completely by many, but mostly Russia roleplayers. Why people seem to think he's fine with it or embraces it eludes me. It is a canon part of his personality that he despises the cold because of General Winter's yearly attacks, causing him to want to live in a warm place covered in sunflowers. As a closing note, there was a lot that missed the chance of being discussed. Mainly his character songs, White Flame, more of, Having Friends is Nice, Light My Heart, or My Heart Has a Light, whichever you choose to call it. Anything touching his beginnings with being under constant Mongol invasions and similar topics. It was left out because she is not a song analyst at all and knows others who can do it much better than herself. Similarly, she doesn't want the video to be so long that the point gets lost in the sheer length of it. And besides that, B just wanted to present her friend, Otaku Kid 1997's Russia rant, and many great points he brought up in response to people inaccurately characterizing Ivan. Also, she would certainly like to thank the Hetalia Wikia, Kuroket, and CherryGirl13 from Tumblr for their wonderful song analyses. You should go check them in the links provided in the description to get a better understanding of the lovable giant's actual character. Thank you for watching.